Hey all. So I was describing before the idea of, this that songs come from this mysterious place sometimes, but then the other element is craft. So the kind of part of the craft, I was looking at this songwriting prompt that Rosie Bans was suggesting. Hi Rosie. This idea of like playing atmospheric background noise, so you might be able to hear like a storm soundtrack. So I've got a working title or something called Thunderstorms, and I've tried to write inspired off of it. Whether that turns out to be, like prosodic or not, whether it's trying to capture the sound of the rain and the thunder and the lightning and the feel of those things on the instrument or somewhere else in the music, I don't know, in the wider thing. But I'm just sitting here with an acoustic guitar. But even if it doesn't, ultimately it's still good, even if you end up separating it, because it helped you write a song, which is really what it's all about. I think of tracks like Riders on a Storm by the Doors, which just gives it that beautiful background immersion there. So for Thunderstorms here, I started messing around and thinking about tinkling of rain at the very least, and start thinking about like maybe like a finger picky kind of thing, but using really weird chords. It doesn't really even have to be picked in that sense, because it's just a background evocative feeling, the storm there. And I started, and that idea of those particular chords are a bit weird together, all those sevenths that are moving around there. I started from that E seventh here, weird high position, open C seventh on the 5th. This idea that it's all a bit ambiguous, it's all a bit wistful, it's all a bit slightly on the edge of insanity as well, like something's off, something's wrong, and I start to veer a bit towards maybe psychedelia, psychedelic rock or psychedelic folk or whatever the hell. So like, and I started coming up with words and things in my reaction to listening to the background of that, seeing crying faces in the clouds. And I came up with that line because I started looking at like some clouds and things, and I saw faces. I saw a face in the clouds, and I started thinking about, well, what do clouds do? And they rain, they cry. A face raining is face crying, right? And it's all like thought process at that point. This idea of when you see faces in things, it's pareidolia, I think it's called, this human psychological effect, a tendency we have, that blows the day away. The idea that the clouds blow the day away. And next line I wrote was, soaks me to the skin, incessant rain. And so, soaks me to the skin, already the inner editor is like saying to me, should we do it, should we not, should we do it, should we not? Which you don't really want to get the inner editor involved too soon. But it was there, it was saying, that's a cliche, dude, that's a cliche. Cliches tend to work okay for titles, but they get, if they are tired, they probably shouldn't be in a song. But for me, it was an authentic expression, because that's exactly how it can feel sometimes. So unless there's another way I can say soaks me to the skin with the same amount of syllables and feel, because we've got some alliteration there on soaks and skin. I don't think it's overly tired, that one. I think I'm okay, because it does describe how it feels, when your clothes are so wet that it then gets through to you. The rain is getting to you. What's the rain really, Those kind of questions. What does the rain actually mean in this sort of song? Incessant rain. This idea of it's not just rain. I've used the word incessant. That's where you can see that I'm a bit of a literary type. And again, I think no way can you get away with a song like that in like modern pop or any of that business. But for a psychedelic song, yeah, why not? Yeah, you know, it can be a bit highfalutin and a bit, you know, conceptual and those sort of things. So yeah, all right, incessant rain. And I like the idea that the rain is almost hinted at as being personified. You know, again, this idea that what is the rain exactly? And then the kind of thinking was another verse there before trying to hit a chorus, whatever that would be. Thunderstorms and lightning strikes, which, you know, is the obvious to sing about next, right? That scare, because that's where I originally had scare the day away, and then I had, because I had something else in the first line. But then I started thinking about it was, oh yeah, you know, it's like lightning striking and the sound of thunder and it's scary, so that's what scared the day away, you know. It's like telling this little story in my head and that. But I liked the idea of the clouds that blew the day away, and I didn't want to double away. So, I mean, I started trying to figure out what else that line could end as. And I suppose it was a little homage in the end to Fixing a Hole by the Beatles, where it's like that kept my mind from wandering where it will go, you know. So I've gone with thunderstorms and lightning strikes that lead my thoughts astray. So this idea that it distracts. And then I just had this line, whispered signals from another plane. And then that's getting quite out there at that point. So it may not survive as a line, because so far it's all been description of what we're feeling, and now this is like conceptual. It's like, ooh, what whispered signals from another plane. We haven't, like, basically saying the thunderstorms and lightning strikes are like the whispered signals, or the thoughts that were led astray are like whispered signals from another plane. I suppose I'm actually thinking about, yeah, this evocative experience of like the electricity that's building up in the air, and the idea that it's almost prone then at that point to give and receive in other fields of communication that are irregular. Oh man, see in my mind how it works is a scary thing, isn't it? It's scary just hearing me actually think about it and describe what it is I was thinking there. It's a freaky thing. And there's it. I don't know if you can hear it, but the storm's continuing. It's a 10-hour storm, a YouTube storm. Yeah. It may not make it, but I did like the whispered signals bit. This I followed by I word. Whispered signals. And things like that attract me, that internal rhyming, as it would be called. And then, you know, just hitting on a straight major, because it's all been up in the air and it's all been quite drawn out, you know. Crying faces in the clouds that blow the day away, soaks me to the skin, incessant rain. It's very 60s, isn't it, you know? Thunderstorms and lightning strikes that lead my thoughts astray, whispered signals from another plane. I like a little like off chord like that to set up the relief of the major. That. And then I don't know what the chorus would be, so I'd be searching words, but I've managed to get the feel of the chorus. All just straight kind of chords really, majors and minors. So that idea then, like, you know, great, you know, find some words for that, for a chorus, and it being a chorus, it would have to work after every verse, and ultimately it would be nice if it got built upon by every verse, but still work in a greater way after each verse, a la Pat Patterson style. The other thing that I'm thinking here, just a quick couple of things I'd then point out. I've already almost, spent my load on the verses because I've got crying faces in the clouds and soaks me to the skin incessant rain. So I've got the rain, I've had the thunderstorms, I've had the lightning strikes, and we hit the first chorus. Where can the next verses go? I've described everything already, and we've got the crazy and out there. So it could be that I've written myself into a corner there. So I may then want to separate those two verses and have the second one, the thunderstorms and lightning strikes, pull that later down into the song and have a different second part of that opening. So the crying faces in the clouds that blow the day away soaks me to the skin incessant rain, followed by something else completely, and then hit the chorus. And then follow up maybe with the next chorus or last chorus, thunderstorms and lightning strikes. Maybe the next chorus, thunderstorms and lightning strikes. So it's describing another element, basically. Because that way you've got somewhere to go. And sometimes with that second verse held, which you then have in this situation, I'd be sitting on a second verse hell because I would have written myself into a corner. I would have put all of my content in at the beginning. So if you then move it, you'd find something else. Sometimes you can imagine, well, okay, I've written my first verse, yeah? I'm looking for the second verse, I'm looking for the second verse, I'm looking for the second verse, and we can focus and focus and focus. But we could actually say, okay, let's make the first verse the second verse. Now, what would have come before the first verse? You could work backwards, and you could be like, wow, okay. There's tons of alt thinking that you can get yourself out of the traps. Or you could just, move this down and slot something else in. So that's my thinking at the moment. This is a very fluid process. It may not turn out this way. This song could end up completely different again, But this is the work in progress element. This is the chaos and creation that that happens in the process of the composition of a song. So, and also the other thing, I suppose, we've got these really long holds on these chords. Crying faces in the clouds that blows the day away, soaks me to the skin incessant rain. And so for the chorus, I wanted the chords to be moving faster because that creates contrast. So it's not all sounds samey. So it's all longer and then quickly moving here on the chorus. Da dee da da dee, da dee da da dee, da dee dee da da, da dee dee da da, da da dee da dee. So that's my thought process, trying to get that happening, and that's all where I'm up to. And it's quite lengthy to try and describe all of my thoughts, just trying to write that much. But I hope this little vlog helped inspire, instruct, inform the creative process, or at least give you an open door into a song. And I think it's dangerous sometimes to try and explain everything about a song. I think one of the worst things you could do is say, the meaning of the song is, and then you say it, because you take away people's idea that people's own imagination is brilliant. And sometimes the interpretations you can have from songs can be much greater than your own, or it may be some unconscious level that you wrote it on, that they've picked up on, or their own. Sometimes they've brought their own baggage to it wonderfully and interpreted it some way. And if you can find all that stuff out, that's great. Oh, I think it's about this because blah blah blah. And isn't art about that anyway? But I don't think I've necessarily done that. I mean, whispered signals from another plane. I mean, we're getting out there now, son. I'm telling you. Oh, yeah. But anyway, look. We'll see. See how this song goes. But, thunderstorms, eh? Why does it always rain on me?